Welcome to a new daily top AskReddit video. Today's topic:
what terrible sex advice would teenage you totally believe? Removed. https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/yobai. Night crawling was a thing in Japan before the 1860s. Single guys would sneak in and ask post-pubescent women for consent and sneak out. House rules varied by village. When I lost my virginity, 16-year-old me lit every candle I could find so it would be more romantic. It was 3 p.m. Also, each one smelled different, so it was like fucking in a Yankee Candle dumpster fire. Edit, since this blew up. There's more. I put rose petals on the bed. Yeah, those stain, by the way. Ruined those white sheets. Also, just to really set the mood, the music I put on was, you guessed it, tribal drumming. Not tribal techno or drum and bass, but actual tribal drumming. My high school sweetheart and I are still friends, at 45, and laugh about it. Yankee Candle dumpster fire. It is 1:06 a.m. and I think I read the best 4-word combination I'll ever read today. That you're supposed to put the balls in too. When I was a kid, my mom sprung the question on my little brother if he knew what sex was because he kept making comments that could be related to sex. I don't remember what the comment was. He was probably about 10 or 11 then, and he piped up and said, "Of course I know what sex is. You stick your balls in the girl's private parts and your finger up their butt." Face with raised eyebrow rolling on the floor laughing. That just sounds fun though. Drinking Mountain Dew kills your sperm. As a teenage boy who really didn't want a surprise pregnancy, I drank a lot of Mountain Dew just to be safe. OMG, I went out with a guy who believed this. He couldn't believe I got pregnant. You had unprotected sex with an idiot. That if she's on top you can't get her pregnant. Cause of gravity. Makes sense, and I'm 30. Back in high school, one kid said, if you come in a girl, you can just squeeze her and it'll come back out so she won't get pregnant. 15-year-old me believed it for a short while too. The old toothpaste tube method. Works every time. Tears of joy. 9 out of 10 dentists recommend this one trick. A girl I went to in college thought she was helping cure her boyfriend's kidney problem by sucking out the stones whenever she gave head. I can't believe I just read this sentence. Excuse me, what? The first time always hurts, so get it over ASAP and then you can both enjoy sex. Quote, yeah, I was not a smart 16-year-old, and unsurprisingly, my first time was terrible. 1 second of penetration, followed by 15 minutes of consoling my poor girlfriend. Don't feel bad, the number of smart 16-year-olds that have a fairy tale wonderful first time could just about fill the back seat of a VW Beetle. Everybody's first time is awkward. Sex only gets good when you both have confidence and know what you want. Damn it, my first time was in the backseat of a 71 Beetle. I don't remember where I heard it, but as a teenager I believed squeezing a girl's boobs would increase her risk of breast cancer. If their boobs never get squeezed, they're less likely to be diagnosed with it. A perfect example of correlation not equaling causation. I figured a blowjob is when you quite literally blow air on the penis. Because that's what it's called. Right, shouldn't it be called a suck job? It's mega made. She's gone from suck to blow. Using 2 condoms at once is safer than 1. I know someone in their 30s who still believes this. Nah bro, you gotta double wrap it to desensitize so you don't come so early. Girl from band camp taught me that. A flautist, Peter. A flautist. I was 18 and a busboy. Literally knew zero about women. I told the sous chef, who was mid-30s at the time, about one of my earliest sexual experiences. The woman who I slept with was a heavy creamer, but I had no clue about this back then. And IDK if he told me this because he was literally just fucking with me, was being a hater, or he'd never experienced it himself. But when I asked him about the mysterious cream, he started cracking up and said, dude, that's leftover cum from the guy she fucked before. Probably a few hours before. I was crushed and totally believed him. Ruined my confidence for at least a couple of years. Wherever you are sunshine, the sous chef, figured FK you man. Lol, I might have dated you sous chef. Or at least I sincerely hope there are not 2 idiots like that out there. A guy the first was seeing dumped me because he hadn't come yet and was using a condom anyway, but there was some whitish liquid. He was completely convinced that it was residue from someone else. This man was around 30 by the way. The harder and faster you press that bump, clit, at the top of the vagina, the more they love it. Sorry, my poor ex-girlfriend. Honestly, a lot of men still believe this person facepalming, they must know that it's ducking painful SMH. Removed. I worked with a girl that was in her 20s, and she got the morning after pill on her way to work, 2 boxes actually, because her boyfriend fingered her. I remember being so confused as she explained, because you never know. No, it doesn't work that way. In my church youth group all the girls said if you just did it in the butt you stayed a virgin. So all of them had done anal at some point or another. Some more frequently than others. The loophole. The poop hole. Doing anal for Jesus. A former friend of mine from Dubai was a strictly observant Muslim, and wasn't married to her boyfriend, so was still a virgin. She'd also been having anal sex since she was 16. All this technical virginity stuff is so stupid. Like, if God is supposed to be omniscient, how do you reckon you, a squishy-brained bag of meat, came up with a loophole that'll fool him? Question mark. That's hilarious considering anal sex is also explicitly mentioned to be haram. Also having an actual boyfriend would also be considered haram. God can't see butts. Removed. Spreading this rumor would benefit many men. But then maybe women would be afraid to have sex because they don't want to make it smaller. Removed. Blue balls are 100% real though. However, it's not from one erection. If we don't come for 4+ days and get lots of erections throughout, eventually we get a very painful feeling in our balls that is only relieved by coming. It can be debilitating. There's a dose-response relationship, BB. Blue balls is a thing, it hurts but men can just jerk off by themselves. They don't need to have sex for it to go away. That the first time will be a transcendent, life-affirming experience that will transform you into a freer, more confident version of yourself. I used to unironically believe that LMAO. The wake-up call was harsh. Same, but fortunately by the time it happened, I had learned that it didn't actually work like that. Unfortunately, the reason I learned was because all my friends had long since gone through it and I'd heard their stories, because I was 24. The panic after my first time LMAO. Damn, I don't feel much different, oh my fucking god, is this just who I actually am? Question mark. My friends were so EFFING obnoxious after their firsts, acting like they were so worldly and knowledgeable, and I was still but an innocent child. Turns out I'm ace and didn't give a shit. When I finally got around to sex, one of my friends was grilling me about my thoughts and I was like, well, it was interesting. She was very disappointed. In the early aughts when I was 18, I used to get my sex tips from Cosmopolitan magazine, and tried everything on my first boyfriend. Some of it was good advice, a lot of it was bad or useless. My boyfriend at the time was just happy to be getting laid, so he let me try all this stuff on him that I read in Cosmo every month. One night, after reading Cosmo, I had him hang his head and shoulders off the bed during a blowjob so all the blood would rush to his head, and when he was about to climax, I shoved my pinky finger into his butthole. Back then Cosmo didn't really talk about asking for consent. So, the pinky was a surprise. It also didn't tell me there's an orgasm amplification button in guys' buttholes, it just said to shove my pinky in there. Well, it surprised my poor boyfriend so much that he moved his butthole away, causing him to slide off the bed, since he was partway off already, with his head and shoulders on the floor, legs and butt in the air against the bed, and he ejaculated on his forehead. I'm convinced writers at Cosmo just made stuff up or purposely kept advice vague so they could imagine the weird stuff readers would do to their boyfriends and husbands, and have a laugh. Young people nowadays know how to use the internet to gain valuable information. Back then it was all chat rooms and Trogdor the Burninator, so hopefully they're getting better sex advice than Cosmo had to offer back then. It is because of Cosmo that I would give head with ice in my mouth for years. I still don't know if any guy actually liked it or if they were just happy to be getting blowed that they weren't going to complain. To the young men I fucked in my early 20s, you guys are shums. As the proud owner of a penis, I can confirm your theory. We will put up with a surprising amount of discomfort to keep our dick in your mouth. Your former partners are grateful and undoubtedly still telling friends about that ice cube blowy they got. That particular Cosmo tip went viral a few years ago on I don't even remember what site, and I think about it all the time. That you can use Vaseline as lube. For anal you can use Vaseline as lube, and it's pretty good. I know it, tears of joy. Coconut oil and spit are better. J-lube, mixed thick, is even better still. You go in as hard as possible as soon as possible, no foreplay, no nothing, just go on crazy chimp sex. I think even chimps have more foreplay than that. As someone who has 3 kids in the house including a newborn. If there's 5 minutes of alone time, there's no foreplay involved. Woman here and can confirm, but TBH, just the idea of having sex with my husband makes me wet enough, no need to waste those precious minutes on foreplay. Try to get the tongue as far in as possible when going down on her. The rest is just there for show. I was once going down on a girl and doing exactly this. She then reached down and rubbed her clit briefly. Instead of taking this for the very obvious hint that it was, I just thought it was hot and hoped she did it more so I could see it again. I wanted to die when I realized this later. I even thought about trying to track her down and apologize for the moron that I was. I even thought about trying to track her down and apologize for the moron that I was. Hi Mom, I realize I've made a terrible mistake. I'm here to fix it. Bill O'Reilly wrote a stupid-ass fiction book in the 90s called Those Who Trespass, and there's a section in that book where he describes the protagonist going down on a woman. The description literally talks about him putting his tongue in and out of her pussy at various speeds, and that's how he goes down on her. Bill O'Reilly inadvertently told the world that he doesn't know how to eat pussy. As long as he's clean, it shouldn't matter what he's done in the past. My friend learned the hard way that men can't be tested for HPV. Unfortunately, HPV is nigh inevitable, though I would recommend everyone, so men included, to get the vaccine. It's incredibly effective in preventing cervical cancer, but also other cancers, like penile cancer and a certain throat cancer IIRC. Edit, apparently the list is, women, cervix, vulva, vagina, men, penis, everyone, oral, anus. Get the vaccine and vaccinate your children. I didn't get it as a child and had cervical cancer at 26. HPV is so prevalent that health organizations consider anyone who is sexually active as likely to be infected. IIRC, something like 90% of sexually active people of college age will contract it, the vast majority never having any symptoms. What people should do is get the vaccine. When I was younger only women could, but these days, both sexes can. And men can be tested for it, but again, it's just assumed people have it, and men would usually get tested usually if they show symptoms like genital warts, which happens in less than 1% of cases.